Okay, so tonight we'll continue discussing the 64 Seva Aparats, which are mentioned in the Nectar of Devotion, under the chapter 8 of the Nectar of Devotion, which is entitled Offences to be Avoided. So last week we discussed the first 28, and now we'll continue. Does anyone have any questions about what we discussed last week or the previous weeks? No? Everyone's okay? Okay. So, we'll continue from where we left off.
Prabhu, the 64 offenses we're talking about covers all Jiva, Vaishnava, Nama and Seva. All of them are a part of it?
The particular offences we're speaking of, these are Seva Aparats.
So Nama Aparat, Vaishnava Aparat, everything is in addition to this.
Nama Aparats are mentioned after this. The 10 Nama Aparats are mentioned after this. Vaishnava Aparat is a specific offence which we've covered before in Bhakti Vaibhav class and so forth. So there's different divisions which we have discussed previously. And Jiva Aparat generally means offending other jivas like that. So these are specifically Seva Aparats, offences to be avoided in regards to the deity in the temple. So, any other things?
Actually, last week we were talking about upping obeisances, and I was just thinking this week, what about when classes started, or when the speakers actually sat down and started to chant Jai Radha? Like, what's the etiquette when you go on this? If you go to see Prabhupada and then you go to see the deities, you're actually turning your back on the speaker. So
you just come in, and if the class is already going in the temple, then you should just go in and offer your obeisances, sit down and listen to the class. Afterwards, then you can go and offer your obeisances to all the deities. Otherwise, you're just going to disturb the class.
It could be a very silly question, but suppose you're doing the service, you're dressing Tulsinanani or whatever, and you're in and out of the temple room. So every time you come in, you offer obeisances.
It means if you're coming in and out every few seconds or minutes, then the first time you come in and the last time you come in, you should offer obeisances. But you need to be practical also. Okay, so. Any other question? Okay, so we'll continue. Number 28. One should not sit with his back toward the deity. So one should not sit with the back toward the deity or towards the spiritual master or any senior personality. Anyone who's a senior person, then we should not have our back towards them at any time. So therefore, when you are in the temple, as Prabhupada himself pointed out in this temple, one should be very careful about sitting with the back towards the deities or Prabhupada. So that means that at all times you should be conscientious of the deities, conscientious of Prabhupada, so you should be sitting with your back towards the wall, the side walls. In this particular temple, that's the shape of the temple. So it's offensive to sit with your back towards someone who is a superior personality, a greater personality. If you have any questions, you can ask as we go. One should not offer obeisances silently to the spiritual master, or in other words, one should recite aloud the prayers to the spiritual master while offering obeisances. So Srila Prabhupada himself would correct disciples when they were doing this. When they're offering, if the child is going to make noise, he'll have to go out, otherwise I can't concentrate. So if it's not practical, then you'll have to take the child outside. So we see that Srila Prabhupada himself corrected devotees who were offering their obeisances silently in front of him when he was personally present. So it means that whenever the Guru is personally present, whenever you're offering obeisances to another devotee, we say Vaishnava Pranam, Vancha Kalpata Rubhascha, that particular prayer. When you go before the Guru in the temple, Prabhupada's Murti, when you go before the deities, you should be reciting the prayers aloud. So the person who you're reciting to can actually hear the prayers. That's who you're saying them to. So Prabhupada would, if devotees were in front of him and they were offering obeisance to him silently, Prabhupada would say aloud. So you should be offering aloud, so the person can actually hear what you're saying. I offer my respectful obeisances unto His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, who is very dear to Krishna, having surrendered that His lotus feet. So we should be saying it aloud, so that the personality that you're respecting can actually hear you. So. One should not fail to offer some praise in the presence of the spiritual master. So when you're in the presence of the Guru, then you should be offering some praise, some respect. It actually says here, it is an offense if you do not do it. It's an offense if you're not offering praise. So this means the spiritual masters, means your Diksha Guru, Shiksha Gurus, senior personalities, once again. If you're in the presence of a senior Vaishnava, a senior devotee, right, a spiritual master, a Diksha Guru, or a Shiksha Guru, then you should be offering obeisances, chanting aloud, and then when you're in their association, you should be regularly offering prayers, respects, adoration, praise. That's the correct etiquette. I remember myself, sometimes after a class, walking back to my spiritual master's room with him, and he would say to me, how did you like the class? So in other words, he was training, giving the disciple an opportunity to glorify the Guru. Because we may not do it spontaneously, so sometimes we need some assistance. So then the Guru may preempt and give you the opportunity. How did you like this? How did you like that? Like that, to give you the opportunity. So you should learn to do it. Offer praise. Actually says, see, if you're with the Guru, you do not praise, then it's an offense.
How is it the offense to the deity?
An offense to the deity?
How is this a part of offenses to the deity?
You can say that it's the deity's personal servant. The spiritual master is the personal associate of the deity, an intimate associate of the deity. So to not recognize the Ashraya Vigraha, the deity is the Archa Vigraha, the Guru is the Ashraya Vigraha. So to not recognize the person who is training you to become a proper servant, a qualified servant of the deity, then it's considered an offense. Rupa Gosvami is basically he's teaching us to become conscientious, to praise. Because in the future we may be, by good fortune, we may be in Krishna's association and we'll need to have the right attitude. So the Guru is training us like that.
When we go into the temple room, what exact prayers do we have to say when we bow down to Prabhupada and Gaur Nitai and Radha Vallabha? Like exactly what do we...
Yeah, so then in front of Prabhupada it's obvious.
What is obvious?
Well, Prabhupada has pranam mantras. Do you know Prabhupada's pranam mantras? Yeah, so that's obvious, that's what you'll be chanting.
Yeah.
Before you chant Prabhupada's pranam mantra, you should chant the pranam mantra to your Guru. Because you're introducing yourself to Prabhupada as a servant of a particular disciple of his. So you go in front of Prabhupada, you chant first to your Guru, and then you chant Prabhupada's pranam mantra. Then you go to Gaur Nitai. So there are different mantras which different devotees will chant. The most generic mantras, of course, are the Panchatattva Maha Mantra. So if you chant that in front of Gaur Nitai, that is sufficient. But then many devotees will chant all sorts of prayers. From Chaitanya Charitamrita, right? Adi Lila, first verse, first chapter. Not first verse, but second verse is very common verse to chant. Also Rupa Goswami has written Namo Maha Vedanyaya. That's a very common verse which devotees will chant. Chaitanya Bhagavat has different prayers to Mahaprabhu like that, and Nityananda Prabhu. Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Nityanando, Sahodito. So there's different verses that you can chant. And then, when you go before Radha Vallabha, Prabhupada gave us Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari. In front of Krishna, Prabhupada gave us Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagapate. So devotees often chant those verses. I chant those verses. But other devotees will have particular verses that they want to chant in glorification of Radha and Krishna. And then when you go before Jagannath, Balaram, Subhadra, many devotees chant Jagannath Swami Niyana Patigami. But there's more elaborate verses. There's Jagannath Ashtika, like that. So you need to learn appropriate verses. Of course, the Panchatattva Maha Mantra, the Maha Mantra itself, the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, that can suffice for anything in any circumstance. But then you may be inspired to learn more verses, particular verses. So if you feel inspired, then you can learn. Is that okay? You can ask different devotees, what do you chant, like that. So. Any other point?
Also, that when we have to show respects to the Uttamadhikaris or spiritual masters, like for example, here in the courtyard, if Maharaj enters, and as soon as we have the darshan, then we have to show respects, offering obeisances. So these Pranamantras, do they applicable happening so that we may be seeing any spiritual masters who will be entering, so spiritual Uttamadhikaris, so we offer all respective obeisances. So
you offer the Vaishnava Pranam, Vanchakalpatarubhyascha.
okay.
That's what you offer. Yeah, you don't offer your guru's Pranam mantra.
So that has to be recited and then offer obeisances to any Vaishnava.
You recite it when you're offering obeisances. You offer obeisance, you recite it out loud. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripasindhubhyacha. That's it. One time I was offering my obeisances to my spiritual master, and his god brother was there also. So I bowed down and I offered obeisances and I chanted my guru's pranam. And then while I was still bowing down, then I chanted Vanchakalpat for his god brother. And then when I stood back up, my spiritual master said, don't take shortcuts. He said, offer obeisances to me and then offer obeisances to him. Don't, get down and just do it all in one hit. That's it. Any other points? Okay. One should not praise himself before the spiritual master. It's an offense. Oh Guru Maharaj, did you like the lunch that I cooked for you today? I'm such a wonderful cook. I am expert at these particular types of puri. Did you like this puri? Okay, so don't praise yourself in front of the Guru. It is inappropriate. Don't praise yourself in front of anyone. That is inappropriate. It's called Vaishnava Achar. Achar means proper behavior. Devotees don't praise themselves in front of others. Like that, but praise others. You should always be looking to praise others. And if you are praised, then you should give credit to your spiritual master, or give credit to the other devotees, or you should offer praise back to that devotee. Like that. One should not deride the demigods before the deity. So you're giving class in the temple before the deities. You should not deride the demigods. Sometimes devotees are a little immature in their presentation of the Krishna conscious philosophy. Who are the demigods? Who are the devatas? Yeah, the Vaishnavas, they're devotees. They all wear tilak. They're all elevated Vaishnavas, more elevated than us. They're intimate servants of Krishna, who run the universe on his behalf. We can't even organize our house on his behalf. There's 33 million principal demigods, and each demigod has 100 assistants. So 330 million demigods. So sometimes devotees, we read in the Shastra that Indra fell down or committed some aparada mistake. Brahma even fell down or committed a mistake or an aparad. So sometimes devotees say, oh, Brahma did this, Indra did that, and it's not appropriate. You think you're more advanced than Lord Indra? You think you're more advanced than Lord Brahma? Certainly we're not more advanced than Lord Brahma. Right? So devotees should be careful about deriding the demigods. Sometimes you see devotees do this in class. Oh, yeah, Indra did this and like that, but who are you to judge? Have you ever been in a position where you had so much service like Lord Indra? Maybe you would make mistakes also. You make mistakes anyway. You don't even have a position. So be very careful. Krishna doesn't appreciate hearing the demigods or the devotees disgraced or put down, especially when you're in front of him and you're saying, oh, this demigod like that. No, they're great devotees like that. So you show the proper attitude towards the demigods. Any points?
Yeah. Actually, demigods are really giving blessings to us. They are encouraging us. They didn't Bhagavatam. Prabhupada says that demigods are in direct relation to Krishna. So they are blessing all the devotees. And all Adideric kleshas will be also finished.
Yeah, Srila Prabhupada says the demigods cooperate with the devotees. I've seen that myself. I used to go on book distribution and it would be raining and then I would park the car, I would drive to where I'm going to distribute books, park the car, the rain would stop, get out, distribute books for 3 hours, then get back in the car to drive back to the temple and the rain would start again. I saw that on more than one occasion. So demigods are cooperating with the devotees. Prabhupada says that. This is a list of 32 offences. Besides these, there are a number of offences which are mentioned in the Varaha Purana. They are as follows. Would you like to hear them? Okay. Number 1. One should not touch the deity in a dark room. So, it is said that the deities should never be left in the dark. That is why you'll see next to Radha Vallabha, on either side of their altar, there is a ghee lamp. So even at night when the temple is closed and all the lights are off, those ghee lamps are always there. There's always light. The deities should never have no light. There always should be some lamp, some deepa. So that is the system. We have the ghee lamps. So when all the main lights are turned off, then the deities, they are like that. So it says here it is an offence to leave them in the dark. It's an offence to touch them in the dark. So it is not appropriate. So one must make sure the deity is always surrounded by light. There's always deepa. And you see in the temple here that even if the lights go out, if there's a power failure, there's still light for the deities.
What about in the house?
In your house, you make the best arrangement you can. I mean, in my home, then I have the deity room is light. There's always light coming from the window in the daytime. And as soon as it starts to get dark, I turn on the light. Okay. There's no power shortage in my house because it's solar power.
Do you leave it on the whole night?
No. When I put the deity to rest, then I turn the light off. I don't have it deep like that, so I don't do that. But in the temple, we do that. One should not fail to strictly follow the rules and regulations in worshipping the deity. So Srila Prabhupada says there are rules and regulations. And Prabhupada says if you do not follow the rules and regulations, where is the proof that you love Krishna? These rules and regulations, just like here we're reading all the offences to be avoided. This is called nisheta, or things that we should avoid in Krishna consciousness. One should always remember Krishna, one should never forget him. That is the principle given by Rupa Gosvami, given by the Shastra. So how will we forget Krishna if we commit the offences? How will we remember Krishna? By following the appropriate rules and regulations. So there are appropriate rules and regulations. They must be followed. So you should not neglect. So whatever is in this book, Prabhupada actually said, the Nectar of Devotion is the law book for ISKCON. Hands up if you like to break the law. So you should not break the law. You should follow what is in the law book, what is in the Nectar of Devotion, the Bhakti-rasamrta-sindhu. So Prabhupada says there are rules and regulations, but if you do not follow them, where is the proof that you love Krishna? If you neglect the rules, if you neglect the regulations of devotional service. And Prabhupada said he has simplified things for us. Srila Prabhupada said in the early days of ISKCON, he said, if I gave you all the rules and regulations in the Shastra, you would faint. If they gave everything to us. So it has been minimized. And what is here in the Nectar of Devotion, the Bhakti-rasamrta-sindhu, it is minimal, actually, compared to what is in the Vedic literature. So we should not neglect the rules and the regulations. All these things we should follow strictly. Then we will advance in Krishna consciousness. One should not enter the temple of the deity without first making some sound. So when we enter the temple, what do? We ring the bell. Now why do we ring the bell inside the temple? The bell should be outside the temple. Because it says here that we should make the noise before we enter the temple. Just like if you go to someone's house, do you walk in the door and then ring the doorbell? Right? But why do we do it here in this temple like that? Because we have neighbors. Right? And if the devotees were all ringing the bell at 4:30 in the morning, right, it would wake the neighbors up. That's specifically in this temple why the bell is in the temple. But factually speaking, you're supposed to make the noise before you enter. Now when you leave the temple, do you need to ring the bell? So why do so many of the people who come to this temple do that? Have you ever left someone's home and ring the doorbell? So what is this system? You see people, they walk in the temple, they offer obeisance to the deities, as they're leaving, they ring the bell. In all the 8 directions or the 16 directions. So what does that mean? Where is this coming from? Where are all these things coming from? It must be verified by Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. Just like you see the people, they go in before the deities and they do all these special. So where is it verified in the Shastra? You know the example which is given? Of the cat which was under the basket in the Indian wedding. There's some tradition in some parts of India that when someone gets married, there should be a cat under the basket. That is auspicious. So then they traced it, then someone said one day, so why is there a cat under the basket? So when they traced it back a few generations before, one time there was a cat at the wedding and the cat was running around, so the old lady got the basket and put it on top of the cat. But then everyone thought, okay, if you get married there has to be a cat under the basket. So from that time on, in certain places in India, whenever someone gets married, where's the cat? Where's the cat? Put it under the basket. But it doesn't mean anything. So everything we do should be certified or authorized by Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. Otherwise, what are you doing? What is this ringing the bell as you leave the temple? What does that mean? Ring the bell. Oh, now I'm leaving, I ring the bell. What does it mean? It doesn't make sense. Krishna, I'm going now. You don't go into someone's home and then as you're walking out you press the doorbell. I'm going now. That doesn't make sense. So people should do things properly. And we should train people who come here to do things properly. You just say to people nicely, say, why are you doing like that? Where is that? Where is that system? Right? And you should train people to do it properly. It must be authorized. Right? Otherwise it becomes speculation. That is the difference between Vedic civilization and Hinduism. Hinduism has no foundation. Right? The Vedic civilization has foundation in the Vedas themselves. Okay. One should not offer any foodstuff to the deity which has been seen by dogs or other lower animals. So this means that when the deity's plate is carried from the temple kitchen, from the deity kitchen to the deity room, it should be covered at all times. It should not be seen by others, because others will contaminate the offering by seeing it and desiring to eat it. Right? So particularly lower animals, like dogs, they're contaminated in consciousness. They always think about eating. They never offer their food. So therefore it is contaminating to the offering if it's seen like that. So this means that people should be very cautious the way they deal with the deity kitchen. Even when I got here and I was walking here to the classroom, I saw devotees inside the deity kitchen with the cook. Now the cook is authorized to be in that kitchen because he's cooked the offering. No one else is authorized to go in there. People just walk in and out of there all the time. You're not actually supposed to be in there. Unless you have service in there, you don't have any right to be in there. All the clothes you're wearing are probably contaminated. You've been out all day doing your jobs at work or, looking after your children at home. You're not suchi, you're not clean. What are you even doing in there? I see devotees all the time in there. It's not appropriate actually. So you should not be seeing the offering, and particularly you should not see the offering before it is offered to Krishna. Unless it is your service to be in that deity kitchen, you should not go in there. Go in and look what's being cooked and like that. It's not appropriate. I think so. Okay. One should not break silence while worshipping. This particularly is in reference to the pujaris in the deity room itself, in the actual deity room. They should not break silence. This is one of the most important rules of deity worship. If you become a brahmana, if you become a pujari, and you enter into the deity room, this is one of the most important rules that you must follow. You do not break silence. When one devotee was assisting in Mayapur during the installation of the Panchatattva, and they did the Abhishek ceremony, and only certain devotees were allowed to go into the deity room at that time. Then one of the devotees, he asked the head pujari, Jinanivas Prabhu and Pankajangaris Prabhu, he said, what should we do now we're going into the deity room with the Pancha? And the one instruction they got was, do not break silence. Do not speak. Right? It breaks the entire mood of the deity worship. The only thing you can do when you're worshipping the deity, you can sing for the deity's pleasure, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, or some appropriate Vaishnava bhajan, but otherwise you should not break silence. Unless it's very important. Sometimes the pujaris have to communicate to each other, but only very, very important things should be spoken. One should not pass urine or evacuate while engaged in worshipping. So if you're doing the puja for the deity, it is an offense to interrupt the puja. Right? So if you have to go and pass water or evacuate past stool, it's actually an offense to interrupt the deity worship. Now, if one does have to do that, if it's an absolute emergency and one has no choice, then one should pray very humbly to the deity. But one should never, under any circumstances, break the deity's worship while the deity is being bathed. In the middle of bathing the deity, when he's having snan, and his body is cool from the water and the liquid that you're pouring on him, you should not leave at that time under any circumstance. Other times, in very, very serious emergency, when you cannot for any reason, you have to go and pass all urine, then you have to pray to the deity and beg his forgiveness for the offense. But generally, pujaris should train themselves that they do not break the deity's worship. While the deity is being worshipped, it must be maintained. It's an offense to the deity just to walk off in the middle. One should not offer incense without offering some flower. So if you're offering agabati, if you're offering incense, Rupa Goswami says you must also offer a flower at that time. So the the largest arti we do, we offer 7 articles or 8 articles like that, 9 articles like that. We'll offer the agabati, right, the deep, right, the water, the cloth, right, the flowers, and the chamara, and then possibly the peacock fan if it is hot weather. So each of these items, they have particular, because you're receiving the deity at that time. Or you can say that you're entering the deity's personal abode to worship him. So you're offering particular articles for their reception or for their pleasure. Just like you offer the incense to create a pleasing atmosphere. Right? You offer the deep or the lamp, you imagine that you're lighting the temple room. Because in previous ages, they actually had to light things. If a guest was coming, you would have to light all the lamps in the home. These days we just turn on the light, it's done. But in the traditional system, you're offering the lamp, you're meditating that I'm actually lighting the abode of the Lord, or the mandap of the Lord, or the pastime, the lilastan, or the place of pastime of the Lord. And then we offer the water, right, to bathe the Lord or to wash his feet. Then cloth, after someone has taken bath, you offer fresh cloth. Here now put on some new clothes. In the spiritual world, Krishna never wears the same clothes twice. Always fresh, always. Krishna gets changed multiple times each day. Practically every time he takes bath many times a day. He's always bathing in the Jamuna or bathing in Radha Kund or different places. Then he's always offered fresh cloth. He never gets offered the same clothes twice. So we offer cloth to the respectable. That's when we offer the handkerchief. We're meditating, I'm offering cloth to the Lord. Then flowers 7 times around. Meditating, we're putting on 7 garlands around the Lord's form, offering 7 garlands. And each garland can have 7 types of flowers in it. So in your mind, maybe you're just offering some marigolds, very simple flowers. But in your mind, you can be offering 7 types of garlands made of 7 different types of flowers. In your mind, you can do so much. It's called Manasa Puja. Then we offer the chamara to keep the insects away. And then if it's hot weather, then we offer the peacock fan. Like in India, now it's hot. They're doing Chandan Yatra now, is it? So then they'll offer the peacock fan. Here in Melbourne, in summer, we also offer the peacock fan. But interesting, like we'll start offering the peacock fan maybe at the beginning of December to the end of March, something like that. But you have to be sensitive to the Lord's needs. Just like if I'm doing the arti to Prabhupada or to the deities in summer, but in Melbourne, the weather is very erratic. Right? So in the middle of summer, you can have a 15 degrees day or 20 degrees day. So you don't need to offer the peacock fan on that day. Right? You might think, oh, I have to offer it because we offer it at this time of the year. But you have to be sensitive to the air temperature. If it's a cold day in summer, you don't offer the fan. How do you like it? Someone comes up to you. Right? Middle of a cold day. And then, just like today is cold, right? So if we put a fan on you, how do you feel? Right? So you don't offer a fan in the middle of a cold day. So in India we have more constant weather patterns, but here in Australia you have to be sensitive to the Lord. Like that. At all times you have to be sensitive to the Lord. This is called like Atmavan Seva. Atmavan Seva means Atmavan Manyate Jagat. You know, this Vedic saying is there. What does that mean? Atmavan Manyate Jagat. As I think, Jagat. Atmavan, as I think, Manyate Jagat. Everyone in the universe also thinks. Right? I like ice cream, everyone must like ice cream. Right? All of us think like that. They think I like it, so you must also like it. Right? So when you're worshipping Krishna, this should be the mentality. I'm cold today, Krishna must be cold today. Right? I'm hot today, Krishna must be hot today. Right? It's lunchtime, I'm offering the Raj Bhog, Krishna must be hungry. So we should treat Krishna like a person. The deity worship should be done with great attention to detail. So when you're offering, just like Prabhupada said, when you are making the plate, the thali, the bhoga offering for Krishna, and you have his little bowls, Prabhupada said they should be full. Because Krishna is hungry. He's always hungry. How old is Krishna? 16. Right? In the spiritual world, Krishna is always 16. Radharani is always 15 in the spiritual world. Navayovana. Kishore, Kishori. They're always that age. So Prabhupada says a 16-year-old boy is always hungry. Right? So the bowl should be full. Sometimes I see the pujaris, they only make the bowl half full, or the cup half full. Krishna doesn't eat like that. He eats big bowl. Right? So Prabhupada said you should make sure Krishna is offered the right amount. You have to be sensitive to Krishna. What he Atmavan Seva means, how would I like to eat if I'm 16? So that's how Krishna would like to eat. Just like if you dress Prabhupada, the Prabhupada Murti is here in the temple or upstairs. So Prabhupada is a Bengali, right? He's from a very hot place. So he feels the cold more than I feel the cold. I'm born in Melbourne, so I'm already used to the cold to a certain degree. Prabhupada is not. He's a Bengali. So I think if it's a cold day, right, how I'm dressed, if I'm wearing a jumper, Prabhupada needs that jumper. And maybe a little bit more than what I am also. Maybe he needs a scarf also, maybe a beanie also. And then if it's, sometimes I walk into the temple in the middle of the day, Prabhupada still has a beanie on, but no one else has a beanie on. No one takes Prabhupada's beanie off. Prabhupada must be hot. Right? So you must be sensitive to the deity. You must be sensitive to the spiritual master at all times. And this is called personalism. Bhagavad Dharma. God is a person. Right? You don't like being treated impersonally, either does Krishna.
So Prabhuji, when you say you offer the handkerchief, so the handkerchief which is already offered, you don't wash it and offer it. Is it the same?
I don't understand what you're saying.
See, do you give it away, that handkerchief which you have offered? You know how you said that you offer the handkerchief in place of the new clothes?
Means Krishna never wears the same thing twice.
So what I'm saying is,
so you only offer the handkerchief once and then you don't offer it again. Is that what you're saying?
that of the handkerchief which you have offered, you just give it to somebody.
If you're very rich.
Now, what do they do in the temple? Do they wash it?
In the temple we wash it and then we offer it.
And then offer the same again?
Yeah.
Okay.
But if you're very rich, you can, every time you can offer a new one.
Okay.
Up to you. Unless, useless flowers without any fragrance should not be offered. This is called Kali Yuga. Hard to find flowers that have fragrance. Just like we offer the deities all the time, carnations. They're actually considered useless flowers. They don't have any scent. Now we're very fortunate, we're coming into the time of winter where the early cheers and the jonquils and the other flowers, nice flowers, they will appear this time from now. At the farm, all the bulbs are just coming up. Next few weeks we'll begin to get all the very nice smelling flowers that will come. It's a very nice time of year to offer the flowers, they'll come soon. So as much as possible we should offer the flowers that have fragrance. At the farm I'm offering marigolds, because marigolds have some nice honey fragrance. Good ones do, the ones we have at the farm do. So we're growing them. So you should have some flowers around. Soon jasmine will come. Okay, so you can offer the jasmine. As much as possible try to avoid the flowers that don't have the fragrance. Kali Yuga is difficult, because the flowers are useless. Even the roses sometimes they don't have fragrance. Some of the roses at the farm, they're amazing. We have some very old rose bushes at the farm, and the roses have so much fragrance. Like that. But here, like sometimes you pick up the roses, they have nothing. Useless. So, Kali Yuga.
Prabhu, in India flowers are really good. Indian roses, any rose you take, beautiful fragrance. Here is a problem.
We should go and live in India. What are we doing here?
I can't feel go there.
I don't know why people left India. Okay. One should not fail to wash his teeth very carefully every day. So we covered this in the cleanliness seminar. When you get up in the morning, you should right? Scrape your tongue, floss your teeth, right? At least once a week, but you can do every day as well. And brush your teeth. Then take bath. Then you get into the DT room. I think so. One should not enter the temple room directly after sexual intercourse. So if you're planning to have a child, Garbhadan Samskara, you should not enter the temple room that day. If you have deity worship or deity service on that day, you should exchange it with another pujari. If you're doing Garbhadan Samskara, you're planning to have children, and you don't enter the deity room on that day. Because your consciousness can be affected like that, can be materialized. So you don't enter into the deity room on that day. One should not touch a woman during her menstrual period. So in very strict culture, when the woman is menstruating, when she is having her period at that time, then in the strict culture, the women who is like that, they go to the part of the house where they just rest. And the other women in the house will take care of the cooking and all these things. So very strict cultures, then you will not eat the food which is cooked by the woman at that time of the month. That doesn't always happen because of family pressures and things these days. Like we don't have an extended family, don't have many women living in one house. So if you can follow those standards, it's very nice. It's very, very first class. But it is hard in this day and age like that. But the woman is considered contaminated at that time. However, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Prabhupada's Guru Maharaj, he actually said to one of his disciples, female disciples, she said, "Can I worship?" She's talking about at home with their home deities, not the deities here in the temple, but at home. She said, "How will I do the puja during these 3 days when I'm contaminated?" Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, "It is the soul who is worshipping the deity." So even if you're contaminated, you continue the worship, you continue the puja, the regulation. So at home you can do one thing, but the deities here in the temple you cannot enter when you are menstruating. You have to stay out like that. In very strict cultures, then the women would completely rest at that time. They would go like that, not cook, not do anything like that. One should not enter the temple after touching a dead body. So a dead bird, dead animal, anything. Dead body, you should not enter the temple. If you've touched, then you are contaminated. You have to go, take bath, put on fresh cloth, then you can enter the temple once again. One should not enter the temple wearing garments of red or blue colour, or garments which are unwashed. So why do we don't wear red or blue? Particularly, or specifically, this is talking about in the deity room. It's not talking about the temple room or the kirtan mandap, the main area where the public goes, but this means in the temple room itself. We should not wear red or blue. The general principle is that when you're in the deity room, you should dress very simply. You should not be distracting people from the deity. You should not be doing the arati dressed like a Balapa. Because you see how he dresses. Right? Have you seen him today? Right, he has all the different colours, right, in his cloth, in his turban. big peacock feather. So you should not dress like that. Because then everyone will be thinking, who's this guy? Distracts people from the deity. So you should not dress in a way that the people will be distracted. That's the point. But particularly it says red and blue because blue is the favorite color of Srimati Radharani, because Krishna is bluish, and red is a favorite color of Krishna because he always wears the golden dhoti. Sometimes it says the golden dhoti is reddish. Sometimes it's just described like that because gold sometimes has like a reddish kind of a glow to it. So you should not wear those colors because they are reserved like that.
This, I said, red is made of word of passion, blue is made of ignorance. But I read this one.
Yeah, I've heard that one too, but when I read in the Pancharatric Pradeep, they don't say like that. I've heard that one, but it's not said like that. It's said because it's the favourite colour of Radha and Krishna, so we should avoid it.
Blue is also a colour of symbolic of authority. So if someone's wearing that, say in a temple or something, it seems like they're an authority. It gives it's an aura of authority. That's why a lot of people wear blue, because it's authoritative.
Okay.
Prabhu, why on Ekadasi the red dress is given to the lordships?
To the lordships?
Yeah.
It's actually pink. In Vrindavan it's pink, it's not red.
But here we find red color.
Maybe because we don't have the pink.
And white. But any reason why that color on that day?
Must be a reason. But if you go to Vrindavan, they dress the deities in pink on the Ekadashi. And then quite often on the Purnima, they will dress the deity in white. And on the Amavasya, they dress the deity in dark colours. Because on the dark moon night, Radha and Krishna, they wear dark colours when they go into the night to meet each other. Or when they're full moon colours, they wear whitish clothes. So they'll merge into the moonbeams when they go into the forest. So in Vrindavan, generally they'll dress the deities according to those colours. And on Ekadashi it says pink. I'm not sure what the reason is, but it says pinkish. Here in this temple, you may notice that Monday means moon. Monday is governed by the moon. Tuesday by Mars. Wednesday by Mercury. Thursday by Jupiter. Friday by Venus. Saturday by Saturn. Sunday by the Sun. So each of those planets has particular colours or jewels which symbolise that particular planet colour. So in this temple, what we generally do is on Monday, deities will have whitish colour, like pearl. Sunday, they'll generally have reddish, because the colour is red. On Wednesday, Mercury is generally greenish. So you'll see quite a lot of the deities have greenish. So in this temple, we do according to the that system also. So you'll see the deities are quite often dressed according to that. One should not enter the temple after seeing a dead body. Same thing, if you see a dead body, generally means a human body. If you see a dead person, that will contaminate the consciousness, create some disturbance in the mind. So specifically it's saying one should not enter the pujari room. If one sees a dead body, one should go, take bath, cleanse oneself, and then one can possibly enter it. But otherwise you're considered contaminated. You'll see that, like in Mayapur a few years ago, I was there, one devotee, his name was Nirguna Prabhu, he was a disciple of Srila Prabhupada. He left this body, he left the world. So we went, he left in the late afternoon or the evening, like that. So we took his body to the Ganga a few hours later, and big fire, and his body was cremated on the bank of the Ganga. So then we had to take the boat out a little bit to one little sandbar where we went out and we took his body, and his body was cremated. And then we took the boat back to the shore, and then at that time we're considered contaminated because we've been in a crematorium like that. So Janani Prabhu and Pankajangagu, they just dove straight into the Ganga. It was dark, it was like night time. But to purify themselves with all their cloth on, because everything is contaminated, they just dove into the Ganga, right? And then purified themselves. Then they walk back to the temple wet, like that. And then they consider purified by Ganga. And then you change into fresh cloth. So that is the system. One should not pass air within the temple. So this was mentioned in one of the previous classes. If you're passing air too much, everyone passes air, but you're passing air too much, that means your diet is not regulated. It means you're eating too much or too much of the wrong thing, or you're not controlling your senses. If you regulate yourself, you won't pass air. Everyone passes air, but not too much. You have to control your eating. Especially if you're a pujari. If you're actually in the deity room itself, it's an offense to pass air, so you have to be very careful. Regulate your eating.
See, in India, they carry the dead body like like a procession. So I mean, if you see that kind of thing, you are contaminated.
Yeah, you're contaminated. Yeah, you have to go on take bath. One should not be angry within the temple. We mentioned this in the last few classes as well. If you're angry, don't go into the temple. Krishna doesn't want to see you angry. Do you think Krishna takes your anger seriously? Who takes your anger seriously? Only you. No one else really cares. When you're angry, you're about the only one who really cares about it. No one else is really. And Krishna's not that interested. So you don't go into the temple room in an angry mood. It's not appropriate. Do you ever see Krishna in an angry mood? Sometimes. Sometimes I go and see the deity. He doesn't look very happy with me. Prabhupada said the deities are a barometer of bhakti. He said when you see the deity, if the deity is smiling, that means he's happy with your service. If the deity is not smiling, then you have to contemplate. Sometimes I see the deities and they're not very happy with me, so I know, okay, I have to think, what is it that I've done? But generally the deity should be happy with us. Yeah.
So I just want to know, like, Krishna's equiposed to everybody, that this point is really confusing because Krishna's equiposed to everybody. Krishna does not take any offense of anybody, and like Shishubal also did like so many offenses, but Krishna did not take that seriously. So how does Lord relate to us when we are, like, for example, we do an offense to Lord, or we are angry with the Lord or something like that? How does Krishna deal with it? Because Krishna is so above all these modes of explanation and everything. He is equiposed to everybody and he never takes any offense from anybody. So how this both are contradictory?
No, you're just confused, that's all. If Krishna becomes angry, there's nothing that says that Krishna does not take offense. Krishna takes offense. It says that Lord Nityananda does not take offense, or Lord Chaitanya does not take offense, or Radharani does not take offense, but Krishna takes offense. So if you do something nonsense, then he will slap you in the head.
Isn't it Maya doing that? Not Krishna doing it? Maya is doing that.
Maybe he'll slap you through Maya, but he'll slap you in the head.
So, like, how then Shishubal forgave 100 times?
Don't worry about Shishupal, just why don't you be good? Just behave yourself.
No, I'm asking that I am very contradictory. Krishna is equiposed to everybody, and that's saying Krishna is equal to all.
Krishna's not like that. It says in the Shastra, Prabhupada says, if you do something once in front of Krishna, right, he will forgive. Twice, he will forgive, but third time, he may not forgive. So Krishna's a person. You can't just go to Krishna every time, oh Krishna, I did this again, oh Krishna, I did this. No, he doesn't take that nonsense. He's a person. So you should act properly. Don't take advantage of Krishna. He's not a doormat. We don't just wipe our feet on him.
See, Prabhuji, Nityananda Prabhu is very serious. But Krishna is always smiling in this temple. So how would I know Nityananda Prabhu is angry or he just...
When he's happy, he smiles.
Does he?
Yeah.
But he's always serious.
No, he smiles a lot of the time.
Yeah?
Sometimes he's serious, but...
Okay.
One should not enter the temple after visiting a crematorium. So if you go to the crematorium, you have to go take bath, change all your clothes, you're contaminated. You can't enter the temple straight away. One should not belch before the deity, so until one has fully digested his food, he should not enter the temple. So you don't eat a big meal just before you go and do the deity worship, before you enter the deity room. Right? You don't eat a big meal before then and go in there and burp and like that. It's inappropriate like that. Generally you go to worship the deity on an empty stomach. Generally, that's the system. You have to be attentive in your service. Half the time after we eat, we just feel like taking rest. So if you have a big meal and then go into the deity room, you may not be so attentive. One should not smoke marijuana or ganja. Please don't do it. No marijuana, no ganja. Please. Next one is even worse. One should not take opium or similar intoxicants. Betel nut, pan. Yeah, everyone is taking pan. Like that in India. Vaishnavas do not take it. In Papua New Guinea, everyone does it. Right? Actually, the Prime Minister, I think it was, of Papua New Guinea actually passed a law to stop it. Big protest. Because the whole Papua New Guinea is red. You can't even walk because everyone's just spitting everywhere. So it's not nice. Devotees don't take it.
But the betel nut does produce the red color.
No, when they made the pan. But the betel nut, sometimes we offer, or not sometimes, in the temple here, we offer to Krishna the betel nut, which is mildly intoxicating. Makes you feel like a little happy. It's not heavy intoxicant, but a little like chocolate. Take it. So the deities get offered every day, but you should not take it. If you take the pan or the betel which is offered to the deities, you pick out the betel nut. You don't take it and say, oh, that's Mahaprasad, take it. Lord Caitanya would not take it. It's not a heavy intoxicant, but still Lord Caitanya would not take it. So we should also, Krishna takes us, or we don't take it.
Probably it's one thing, raw betel nut is intoxicant, not the dry one.
Okay. So I think for Vaishnavas, I think we don't take either, as far as I understand. When you're in the spiritual world, Krishna will give you some. But down here you have to earn your right. I got some. Just like in the spiritual world, everyone walks on Govardhan Hill. But in the material world, Lord Caitanya forbade all of us to walk on Govardhan Hill. So in the spiritual world they do it, but here we don't do it. Because Lord Caitanya is teaching us, don't take betel nut. Don't walk on Govardhan Hill. You're just a sadhaka, you're just a practicing devotee. Otherwise you will commit offences. So when you become purified, then Krishna will give you right. Spiritual world is different. Okay. One should not enter the deity room or touch the body of the deity after he has smeared the oil over his body. So you don't put oil, after we take baths sometimes, we put oil on our body. We bathe and then we put oil. But when you put the oil, you're contaminated. Right? So that means you cannot enter the deity room. Like that. So, like I put oil on my face, otherwise my face gets dry, like after I shave and everything, so I put oil. But if I'm worshipping the deity, I don't put oil. Right? Then go and worship the deity, and then next time you take bath, then you can put oil. Okay.
Not even to the hair?
No. Not before you go into the deity room, because that means Oil's not considered clean. So it's when you're doing all the puja, it's not considered clean. So do it at a different time of the day. When you take your next bath later in the day, you can.
But the ladies, they're not supposed to wash their hairs. And if they put the oil, it means they can't go and worship.
I'm not sure.
But Srila Prabhupada said the ladies should not wash their hairs every day.
Yeah, the ladies should not wash their hair every day.
Yeah, so
But then traditionally the ladies didn't go in the deity room. So ladies are a little complicated. I have experience.
Cultural only.
What's that?
There's only cultural, like if you go to Kerala, every day ladies take head bath, like men.
Yeah, no, but they don't go in the deity room. See, things have been rewritten here because the women don't even go in the deity room in the Vedic situation. So, one should not show disrespect to a scripture teaching about the supremacy of the Lord. So you can't say, you read the scripture and the scripture says this and you say, how can that be true? That means that's an upper ride. You have to be very careful. This is one of the 10 offences against chanting also, to blaspheme the Vedic literature or literature in the pursuance of the Vedic version. One should not introduce any opposing scripture. So don't bring a new book into ISKCON. No? Your own book. You know, the Keshava Samhita. Where is this from? Oh, it's in the Keshava Samhita. The Keshava Gita, chapter 19. Or the 13th canto of the Keshava Bhagavatam. So don't bring something new in. We have our books, we have our rules. This is our rule book. Prabhupada said this is the law book. So don't introduce other things. Sometimes devotees say, oh, it says this, it says that. No, what does it say in Prabhupada's books? GBC has an Archana Padhati. In ISKCON we have an Archana Padhati, rules and regulations, system for deity worship. That's what we follow. If they do something in a different temple, they do things in different temples. That's fine. Jagannath Puri, Sri Rangam, they do different things. That's their system. But our system is different. One should not chew betel before the deity. One should not offer a flower which was kept in an unclean pot. So when you pick the flowers, make sure they're in a clean pot. When you pick the flowers, you only pick with the right hand. Very important. And you keep them in a clean pot. Something which is only used for the flowers, for the deities. And make sure you are clean when you are picking the flowers. All these things have to be followed. One should not worship the Lord while sitting on the bare floor. One must have a sitting place or carpet. So when you go in the temple room, when you're worshipping the deity it says this, but even in the temple room you should sit on the mats, not on the floor. Prabhupada didn't like us sitting on the floor. You know, if devotees were there, he'd say, sit on the mat. One should not touch the deity before one has completed taking bath. One should not decorate his forehead with a 3-line tilak. None of this tilak. Right? We don't want to see any of you coming to the temple with this tilak. Okay? This one. Not this one. Okay. Don't put the 3-line tilak.
So the 3-line vertical tilaks, are they allowed in the kitchen?
Vertical tilaks?
Yeah.
Like Sri Sampradaya or something? Yeah, sure. That's Vaishnava, so. That's
But
okay.
they're converting some other sampradaya.
Different Sampradaya, but there's 4 bona fide Sampradayas. And it means that we respect Vaishnava. Not that we don't disrespect Vaishnava. So if the Siddhanta is correct, you know, if they're wearing this tilak but there's some Mayavad philosophy, then that's rejected. But we don't let them cook. If there's some Mayavad philosophy. If it's Vaishnava, again, if it's Sri Vaishnava or like that, then that's okay. As long as it's Vaishnava. That's the point.
So what's the meaning of 3 lines tilak?
Lord, the followers of Lord Shiva.
Okay.
You see in India, you've seen like the 3.
Yeah.
Are you from India?
Yeah.
One should not enter the temple without washing his hands and feet. So we covered this also. So there's a couple of extra ones Prabhupada writes here. Other rules are that one should not offer foodstuff which is cooked by a non-Vaishnava. So you can't offer anything to the deity which is cooked by a non-devotee. Right? If someone eats meat, they should not even be allowed into our kitchen. Sometimes people come to our farm, they want to help out for the Sunday feast. I say to them, do you eat meat? If they say they eat meat, I'm saying, I'm sorry, you can't come into the kitchen. Right? But if someone is vegetarian, okay, we can let them go into the kitchen. But we should not offer anything to the deity which has been cooked by the non-devotee. Only the Brahmana, only the one who has received Vaishnava Diksha, or second initiation in ISKCON, they can offer bhoga to the deity. No one else.
Except Janmashtami.
I think Janmashtami, they say you have to chant 16 rounds, is it? Oh, that's all. Okay.
So I have a question for Bhakti Vriksha, the members they cook prasadam and bring.
Yeah.
For Boga, they bring for deity. So how do we say no to them? We feel bad to say no to them.
Yeah, but like we have a Bhakti Vriksha program at our farm also. And some of the people who come, they still eat meat. So I tell them you can bring fruit salad or something, but nothing cooked.
Oh, okay.
I tell them. I say you can make fruit salad or something, but nothing cooked. Because your kitchen is still impure. One should not engage himself. One should not worship the deity before a non-devotee. In front of the non-devotees, you don't offer puja. It means arati is okay, but what we do behind the closed doors, dressing and everything, we don't do in front of the non-devotees. One should not engage himself in the worship of the Lord while seeing a non-devotee. One should begin the worship of the demigod Ganapati. Ganapati means? Ganesh. So Prabhupada explains here that Ganesh has two tumuli. You see the elephants? They have like two bumps on their head. So on Ganesh's head stands Nrsimhadev. So when it says Ganesh removes the obstacles, it's actually Nrsimhadev who is giving the power. So in our tradition, we worship Nrsimhadev. And then Ganesh is automatically pleased. In India, everyone worships Ganesh to remove obstacles, but we already do it. Okay. The deities should not be bathed in water which has been touched by the nails or fingernails. Remember we said that? You have to be trained. There's ways to do it. Just like you go into the deity room, you have to bathe the deities. You put your hands into the bowl where the deity's towels are. The towel which is put into the water to we then clean the deities with that. So you make sure that your fingernails do not, when you dip the towel into the water, your fingernails do not enter into the water. And when you lift the towel up and you wring it out, you put your fingernails upwards and you wring the towel out like that so that the water does not drop back over your fingernails. So when you go in the deity room, you'll be trained. So you have to learn these things. The fingernails are contaminated. When a devotee is perspiring, he should not engage himself in worshipping the deity. Unless it's like India and it's 46 degrees and you go and take bath, by the time you get back to the deity room, you're wet again. That's different. But generally here, we should be careful. There are many other prohibitions. For example, one should not cross or step over the flowers offering to the deities. So when the Madhijas are making the garlands, you don't step over the flowers. Right? Very careful to go around like that. Also, you see the devotees sometimes when they're spraying the water in the temple, that water is prasadam. The Madhijas are sitting there making garlands and they're throwing the water and the water hits the garlands. Technically, then the garlands become prasad. So all the people who are throwing the water, they should be very careful about these things. You know, the women are making garlands, you don't throw the Mahaprasad water on the garland. Nor should one take a vow in the name of God. So don't go in the temple in front of Krishna and say, Krishna, I vow I will do this. at this, because maybe Krishna doesn't want you to do that. Certain vows we take, or we chant 16 rounds, where we take Vaishnav Diksha, in front of the deities we take vows, that's okay. But generally you don't take vows. Sometimes, okay, Kartik Vrat comes, Kartik Mas comes, or we take a vow in front of the deity, but be careful about other things. Because you take a vow, Krishna will do this, but maybe Krishna doesn't want it. So. There are all different kinds of offences in the matter of executing devotional service, and one should be very careful to avoid them. Okay. Any other questions? Srila Prabhupada ki? Okay, thank you all for coming. Very well.